Stick with me, we are about to see a supposedly useless power become legendary. Everyone thought it was trash, but they had no idea about its true potential. Our main character, Jong Sang Wu, just unlocked the ability to clone himself. But what can a chubby guy like him really do with that ability? Absolutely nothing at first. Our hero just headed home to play his favorite game. Since his job was selling in-game achievements, Sang Wu decided to test his skill. He focuses his mind and boom, a clone pops out of thin air. He is shocked to realize the clone arrived completely naked. For the first time, he finally sees how his body actually looks under all that thick fat. It is super awkward touching another dude like this, but since it is his own body, no big deal. He tells the clone to dress up to see if it follows his commands. Sang Wu makes the clone do some squats, but as you probably expected, the little guy was gassed after 5 reps. This clone seems totally worthless. Now pay attention here, this is where everything starts to change for him. His vitality increased by 0.01. Fast forward 1 month later. This was Sang Wu's new body. He was training so hard it looked suspicious. People at the park thought he was crazy, but here is the real secret. The real Sang Wu was home. In 30 days, he lost 20 kilos. He discovered his power was broken. The clone's exhaustion never affected the original. Even if a clone pushed until it died, it would just vanish in smoke. Best part, he gets all the physical gains from his clone's hard work. Plus, the clones always look exactly like his current physical form. He can even control them with his mind. It was outrunning when Sang Wu ordered it to start doing push-ups. One rule: clones cannot make more clones. Otherwise, the world would just explode. Sang Wu made his clone train for a month straight without any breaks. This massively boosted his stats and completely transformed his entire look. But you cannot survive on exercise alone. Sang Wu needed to make cash. He decides to get a job and bring a clone to double his pay. The clone acts like a normal person and goes by the name Gongo. At the site, he runs into an old acquaintance of his. So Sang Wu just lies and says he brought a friend for work. His friend, Diakil, tells them they need to check in at headquarters. I know what you're thinking. Is this even legal? He is definitely nervous. This cannot be a crime, right? If he is doing double the work, it is only fair he gets double the pay. After a few hours, our boy finally learns how hard manual labor is. His clone was grinding way harder than him. The thing is a beast. It works itself to the bone. Even when exhausted, it never stops moving. Sang Wu realizes it will be a problem if it dies in public. If it vanishes, he will lose that sweet paycheck. By the end of shift, Sang Wu was the one nearly dying. The clone was probably wondering if it would take over the original spot. Mr. Diakil brought them some drinks, impressed by how hard they worked. He had never seen such dedicated young men in his entire life. Trust me, you and I know the real reason he is pushing this hard. All right, you and I are about to watch him secure a major bag. After hearing he attends Jyango Guk, Mr. Diakil is even more impressed with the kid. He wishes his daughter was smart enough to enter a top school like that. Sang Wu just shrugs and says it is pretty easy with just a little bit of study. Hearing that, the big man decides to offer our boy a brand new job. He wants Sang Wu to tutor his daughter and cram knowledge into her head. He's hired to be the tutor and force-feed her knowledge. The pay is great since a father will do anything for his kids. By the next morning, Sang Wu is feeling the absolute pain of overworking. If his clones suffer like this, he feels bad. He decides to go a little easier on them. He mentally orders slave number 1 home before the police get involved after 24 hours. Since the clone is resting, it is time for him to grab some food. Soon, his clone returned. He tells it to shower because there is more work. Now watch this part because he is about to try something insane. He plans to use a needle to prick the clone's finger repeatedly. In this world, you can awaken regeneration powers. If the body heals enough injuries, he might unlock high regeneration. Doing that to himself would be horrible. He gives the clone a phone and tells it to exercise. It has to answer calls and work out whenever it is home. Next, Sang Wu heads out to sign up for a gym. An old buddy sees him and barely recognizes the guy. He jokes that there is only half of the old guy left. Sang Wu explains his new lifestyle and his sign-up. His friend laughs and calls it a huge coincidence since he is going there too. He is also going there to find a hot instructor. He drags our hero along to check out the spot. You and I know his real intention is to just send his clone here. His buddy is the type to scream while lifting for attention. Turns out he awakened a strength ability with a high stat. He is naturally powerful with a 2.1 strength score. While checking the machines, Diakal calls to check in on him. He wants to start the first tutoring session with his treasure. Sang Wu leaves the gym and heads straight to the house. That annoying slime ball didn't even join since there were no girls. Sang Wu thinks to himself that he got extremely lucky. Now his clone can train in peace without any nosy friends. He arrives at Daxhill's house and hears a massive racket inside. Suddenly, the door flies open and hits him in the face. At least he finally gets to see what she looks like. Turns out she really is quite a treasure. Sang Wu stares while Mr. Dioxyl panics now. And trust me, this is only the beginning of their journey. You and I are starting this story with a very awkward family dinner. She barely recognizes him after the weight loss, but he says he's been hitting the gym. As he cleans his face with a napkin, his attention turns to the daughter. Miss Han is visibly nervous, her hands resting tightly on her knees. She's blushing hard and looking away, but manages to respond to her name. Sang introduces himself, and the parents notice just how shy she is being. They're convinced their daughter has already taken a huge liking to the guy. Hien is mortified, worried he heard her yelling through the door earlier today. He confirms she's in her 3rd year and asks for her grades before starting. Suddenly, the poor girl looks like she's just seen a ghost. Sang holds her report card, trying his best to hide his look of disappointment. He scans her scores, attempting to keep a straight face for her. Pay attention here, these grades are a total and complete disaster for her. Her parents are speechless, while she wishes she could just disappear from the room. Her father stands up and quietly starts gathering his belongings with a blank stare. Suddenly, he shouts that he's heading to work and bolts for the door. He leaves his wife behind to deal with this entire academic mess alone. She's looking down, feeling like a lost puppy who failed everything. With a reassuring smile, he tells her it's really no problem at all. He admits his own grades weren't great and offers some secret tips. Her face glows like a star as she excitedly clasps her hands together. Our main character says they'll both do their best to reach their goal. They decide on meeting twice a week for their future tutoring sessions. Later, we see the outside of his very modest apartment building. He enters his humble home, feeling like he still has a long way to go. You and I can see him reflecting on the tutoring sessions now. Hien seems very dedicated and accepts every single bit of his advice. He's glad the girl is actually sharper than he first expected her to be. He sits down, noting that clone number 1 has already gone to work. For now, he's given the clone a phone to keep in touch. But managing multiple devices is going to be a massive headache later. He starts browsing Hunter Web for dungeon tips and a marketplace for gear. His main goal is to find any skill that relates to his own. The site is filled with ads for scrolls and high-level legendary gear. He does a massive spit take at a 100 million price tag. Another telepathic skill is 400 million. That is just insane prices. He can't help but cry seeing those impossible, high prices today. Honestly, if he had that kind of money, he'd much rather buy a house than a skill. Leaning his head back, he lets out a heavy, hopeless sigh. For him, saving up that much cash for a skill will take forever. He wonders if hunters actually pull in that kind of crazy money. He checks his bank account on his phone and sees it's basically empty. He throws himself under the bed in total disgust, feeling completely and utterly defeated. He just wants the whole world to blow up right now. And we leave him with these dark, intrusive thoughts. All right, you and I are watching a guy wonder if he should risk it. News articles about their legendary feats flash on his screen. He stands up, totally lost in thought. He is not sure what to do, but he realizes his cloning ability is way too broken. He should not just use them for manual labor. Grabbing his coat, he has a new plan. The determined boy gets dressed and decides that he is going to try for his license now. His vitality rises. Back in the 2000s, portals opened and monsters came pouring out of them. More than half the world's population died. It seemed like humanity would be wiped out forever. But in the middle of all that disaster, humans with special powers began to emerge from chaos. With those heroes on the front lines, humanity won. Now in 2023, hunters keep us safe. They are the ones who hunt the remaining monsters. Sang is watching an online course for tips. He is learning exactly how he can get his license and become a professional hunter himself. He writes down every strategy to pass and heads straight for the Hunter Association building right now. While stretching, he realizes his vitality training is working. He feels amazing even with less sleep today. He enters the association and starts walking through the building. The atmosphere here is incredibly heavy. A masked man with a sword on his back is talking to a local weapons dealer nearby. He keeps moving. He enters the association and makes his way through the massive building. A masked warrior with a blade is talking to a dealer. Another guy, bald and scarred, is cleaning his gun. Then a suspicious old man in a large hat waits in the room corner. Sang is blown away by the strange people here. He notices the testing pool is quite small. Stick with me, this is where Sang realizes he is completely out of his depth here. A woman in uniform announces that test registration will officially close in only 20 minutes. He knows he needs to reach the basement, but his anxiety is starting to kick in fast. He arrives at a room with a sign that reads Hunter License Test Room. He stops. With a trembling voice, he opens the door and mutters a quiet "excuse me" to the room. Incredibly, every single person in there was either super intimidating or just plain bizarre. No exceptions. Sweating like a pig, he wonders why there are so many killers in one place right now. Two sinister-looking men laugh at him for being polite, treating him like a total fool. Suddenly, someone in heavy army boots approaches the front of the room with very firm steps. A scarred hand grips the table tightly. This is a C-class hunter named Han Mongan. Now pay attention here. This is where we meet the proctor for today's big exam. The test consists of a written exam, a practical test, and a final aptitude evaluation. Cheating is strictly forbidden, and he stresses that they never forget those who try to cheat. The men who were just laughing at Sang fall silent, completely intimidated by the proctor's presence. Sang is terrified, too. He understands that the pressure in this room is absolutely intense right now. Looking out at all the participants, the instructor announces the hunter license test will now begin. A car drives down the street. Traffic is flowing smoothly, and there is not much congestion. A person on a headset replies that they will deposit everything before the end of the month. That person on the headset is the driver, telling his boss to just calm down already. He is no rookie at this job, but his boss just screams through the headset anyway. It makes the poor guy's ear hurt. The driver's name is Kong from the JM agency. He knows his boss might kill him. Money is not coming in and the pressure is rising. There are too many places the money needs to go. He looks at his watch very nervously. He notices it is 15 minutes to 8. The hunter's exam is almost over for the day. Let's see if our boy can actually survive this test while the clock is ticking down. 8 o'clock. Trust me, you and I are about to see this exam end. All right, you and I are jumping into the story as the sun sets over the bridge. A golden glow hits a glowing status screen, confirming that a new hunter has passed. Our main character, Sang, looks totally baffled because he actually made the cut. People said the exam was simple, but he didn't expect it to be this effortless. Seriously, the written part was just basic memory work, nothing challenging at all. They even give you way too much time to prepare for the actual practical trial. Plus, the targets were basically right in front of him. Even the ethics test was easy. It felt like a middle school quiz asking if he'd ever considered shooting someone. He's honestly worried. Should a job involving deadly weapons and high risk be this simple? Hunter work is dangerous business. Walking home, he keeps pondering why the bar is low. Lost in thought, he glances up at the massive skyscrapers looming over the city streets. He suspects the government is desperate to push as many people into this as possible. With a heavy sigh, he tries to clear his head, but then things get interesting. He bumps into a crowd where sharp-looking men in suits are handing out cards. These guys look incredibly polished and professional, flashing warm smiles at every single person. As they work the crowd, Sang realizes these must be recruiters from the big guilds. They're hunting for fresh talent. Suddenly, one of the suited men walks right up to him. He hands Sang a business card and offers a huge congratulations on passing the test. It's from the JM agency, belonging to a man named Seo Kang Junmo. Junmo explains that if Sang ever needs gear or specific monsters, they can help. For a tiny fee, they'll handle the logistics. Feeling awkward, our hero just nods along. He scratches his neck and offers a quick thanks. Then, he checks his status screen. Now pay attention here, because Sang just spotted something that changes the entire game. His cloning skill actually leveled up to level 2, while the recruiter is still yapping away. Sang suddenly bolts, shouting that he will give them a call some other time. The recruiter is left standing there, desperately begging the kid not to forget about him. Back safely inside his apartment, Sang is practically vibrating with excitement as he rushes in. He covers his face, let out a wild laugh. The guy is absolutely losing his mind. He's ecstatic because he can now summon 2 clones simultaneously. Time to test the power. A second double emerges from a puff of smoke, just like the very first one did. Now there are 3 of them in the room. He tells his newest clone to work hard. You and I can see he's dead serious as he holds up that recruiter's business card. The squad is finally ready to hit the hunter scene. Meanwhile, Junmo finishes his day. He tosses his remaining cards onto the seat, glad to have finished his rounds at last. Straightening his tie, he hopes those new recruits call. He stares thoughtfully out the window. Watching the city lights reflect in the glass, the scene shifts to a massive skyscraper. This is the headquarters of the Hong Guild, the #1 powerhouse in South Korea. Inside, a document covered in highlights sits on a desk. Someone is looking it over. A man sipping coffee mentions they need to settle the payments exactly as listed here. Junmo grabs the paperwork, agreeing at first, but then he notices something extremely off. Looking closer, he starts to get nervous. The numbers on the page aren't making sense. The costs for monster materials like slime and troll fluid are way higher than expected. Breaking into a sweat, he clutches the paper. He's confused and tries to ask why. The math is definitely wrong, but before he can even finish his sentence, he's interrupted. And that's where we leave it, trust me, this guy's mocking look says everything. All right, you and I are diving into a story where guild politics get messy fast. He's told to stay sharp, which honestly has him feeling a little on edge right now. Slapping the mug down, the guy warns that playing by the book leaves them with nothing. If they want the rewards, they've gotta bend the rules. It is a dirty game for sure. He grips Juno's shoulder, acknowledging he is an honest guy, but says they cannot be sensitive. Junmo is fuming, his anger boiling over as he crushes the paper in his hand. But the man just mocks him, asking one more time with a smirk if he finally understands. Back in the car, Junmo sighs, wishing he had just kept his mouth shut instead of talking. Then ringtone. He fishes it out of his suit, thinking it is his usual phone, but something feels off. He answers, identifying himself as Kang Junmo from the JM agency. Work never truly stops. Now watch this, the man on the phone has a proposal that changes everything. Night falls over the city, and we find ourselves outside a quiet shopping complex near Starlux. Junmo heads inside, scanning the room for the mysterious person he is supposed to meet. He spots Sang at a nearby table, who gives a friendly wave the second he walks in. Junmo apologizes for being late, but Sang just smiles and says he only just arrived. The guy asks if they should grab a drink before talking serious business. With the barista standing by, Sang agrees. A little caffeine to kick off negotiations sounds perfect. They order an iced coffee that honestly looks refreshing. Now, it is time for the details. He asks if Sang is looking for a safe hunt, one even a beginner could handle. Sang nods, so Junmo asks the big question: what exactly is his specific hunter skill? With a serious look and coffee in hand, the protagonist reveals his power is called cloning. Junmo pauses, thinking he has heard of this. Usually, it is just an illusionary mimic. As Sang drains his coffee in one go, Junmo starts doing the math in his head. I know what you are thinking, an illusionist in a real fight seems impossible. Still, he plays it cool, calls it a good skill, and slides the contract over. He suggests starting in slime territory. It is the standard entry point for any new hunter. They are not lethal, but they release toxic gas, so wearing a mask is a must. Sang snaps a photo of the contract, sounding confident. To him, this sounds like a breeze. Next up is the horned rabbit area. Good for long grinds, but they are very fast. It is safe, but do not expect to get rich quick. Catching them is a pain. There is giant rats and other low-tier trash, but these two guarantee his safety. Our protagonist thinks both spots sound solid, and the payout for the loot looks pretty decent. So, Sang decides he is ready to move forward. He is all in on the contract. With a polite smile, Junmo thanks the new guy. It is always nice closing deals. Since he liked both options, the agent asks which zone he is going to choose first. But then, Sang makes a move that is as cocky as it is incredibly decisive. Suddenly, a second hand appears out of nowhere, stamps the paper, and leaves the agent stunned. He realized then that he was not just dealing with a simple shadowy copy. He lifts the stamp, and there it is, his signature in bright red ink. The agent stares in pure disbelief as he realizes there are now two identical hunters. They speak in perfect unison, looking exactly like the person who just signed the paper. Now there are two Sangs present, and they both have that same confident, determined look. And trust me, you and I are about to see him tackle both missions at once. Elsewhere, another client meeting begins, and a man with a sword arrives. All right, you and I are diving into a story where clones are more than shadows. He confirms his cloning skill. The man looks like a masked ninja, hiding his face. Confirms it is real. Junmo asks to see the technique right then and there. Seeing the demo, he is completely amazed by what he has just witnessed. The ninja swordsman sheathes his blade, and several identical clones suddenly surround him in a circle. They all drop into a battle stance, ready to strike, but Junmo feels nervous. Something is wrong here, and he gets worried. Suddenly, the clones lunge forward together. They strike with a precise sword attack. The blades pierce right through the original ninja. He sits in the chair while the blades pass through him. Poor Junmo watches. He covers his face, unable to look, and begs them to please just calm down. With his eyes watering and heart racing, he looks forward again. The ninja explains. While being stabbed by a fake blade, he says it is all just an illusion. Nothing is real. Junmo slowly reaches out his hand to touch the sharp sword. It passes right through because it cannot cause damage, but these clones are very useful. They are perfect for drawing the attention of nearby monsters during a chaotic dungeon hunt. That tense situation made Junmo nervous, but now he laughs in pure, exhausted relief. Snapping back from his memories, the man thinks that old cloning ability was definitely fake. Now pay attention here, because this time, the entire situation is very, very different. Sang picks up the contracts with his own hands to check the conditions once more. On top of that, he drinks his coffee like a camel that is literally dying. With a worried look, the man realizes he has never seen an ability like this. To test the waters, he decides to ask if the two of them are twins. This question makes Sang burst out laughing. He points at his clone, still cracking up. He says it is understandable someone would think that. He touches his copy's solid shoulder. He is showing that it is physical. Sang explains that this guy is his clone. Junmo might be confused, but this clone is real. He even has another copy. That one was sent to the academy. Junmo is surprised and asks about muscle. The protagonist says yes. If his clone gets stronger, he gets stronger too, shared power. It is possible to increase his own stats using clones. This makes the man think. This ability is not just F-class, it has some truly gigantic potential for the future. Let's pause for a second. This moment hits different when you realize the insane potential. Back at the hunting grounds, Sang has one more serious question for the older man. He wants to know if there is a problem with entering multiple locations at once. Jun-mo explains that entering simultaneously is difficult because there is a record of everyone's entry. With a grim look, the boy knows this bureaucracy could be a huge problem for him. But the kind Jun-mo says he will try to talk to the association instead. He asks him to come along. Scratching his head, the boy says that is fine. But the charitable Jun-mo says he will try to talk to the association about it. So Jun-mo asks them to meet in 2 days at the local hunter center. He still looks a bit suspicious. He asks about the contract, and Sang responds quickly. With his stamp in hand, Sang says he already signed it after checking the ratio. He saw the percentage in the photo that clone number 2 sent earlier that day. The man suddenly stands up, and the quick movement startles poor Sang in his seat. Extending his hand, he says he looks forward to working together on the upcoming hunt. And that is where we leave it. Trust me, you and I need to see this. Stick with me, you and I are about to witness a deal that changes everything. Sang gets a distant look in his eyes, reflecting on this massive new step. They finally shake hands to seal the deal. Meanwhile, the summoned clone just sits there totally indifferent while the two finalize their official contract. 2 days later, at the massive hunter center, our hero walks the streets. He's moving carefully, keeping a sharp eye on everything happening around him. Someone calls out for Hunter Nim, and he looks up, totally surprised. Jun-mo adjusts his tie, noting the kid arrived way too early. Sang explains he didn't want to keep anyone waiting at the association. Jun-mo confirms they're in the right place and grabs a ticket. The facility is huge, with voices calling out for the next available hunters. Finally, it's Sang's turn, and the clerk asks about dual hunting access. She explains to our protagonist that this is a very special request. Pay attention, he's the first person since a legend named Jumper to even ask. This is definitely not common, and the employees start digging through files. Eventually, the worker returns and sends him to handle the remaining paperwork. He's told to head to the civil service office to process everything. That massive mountain of paper leaves both Sang and Jun-mo staring in shock. Jun-mo offers to handle the documents while Sang heads to the demonstration. He takes the stack to a female attendant waiting at the front counter. Meanwhile, Sang arrives at a room with a scientist and a chamber. He concentrates hard, calling forth that familiar cloud of magical energy. He's about to summon a clone, focusing all his power on the task. A new Sang appears, perfectly identical to the original but completely naked. I know what you're thinking. Talk about one hell of an awkward first impression. The scientist is clearly embarrassed, but elsewhere, a craftsman is busy working. He's using high-precision tools on a special bracelet with intense focus. After examining a specific part, he announces the identical ID is finished. Now, the clones can actually enter the hunting grounds using their fingerprints. Simultaneous entries are now possible, meaning the clone goes wherever he goes. The man is ecstatic, claiming this ability is unlike anything ever seen. This is unheard of, not just in Korea, but in the entire world. Sang finds the guy a bit creepy, grabs his clone, and leaves immediately. The researcher is disappointed, since he wanted to use the clone for tests. Sang meets back up with Jun-mo and says the registration is done. Now, every single preparation for his big solo hunt is finally complete. He and his clone are ready to face whatever comes their way. Jun-mo asks if he's heading out now, and Sang says yes. He has a free schedule, so there is no reason to wait around. Sang explains he's masking the clone because too many people are curious. But as they talk, someone is watching them from the floor above. A figure with a dark aura and a wicked smile looms over them. It's the master of the Hyang Guild himself, the infamous Shin Haesung. He scratches his neck, realizing the man down there is actually Jun-mo. He yells the name, "Trust me, things are about to get real ugly. Stick with me, you and I are about to witness a huge crash and surprising everyone below." The guild leader jumps down from the upper level, making a hero landing. With a smirk, he says it has been a while. Then he adds that they are meeting in a place like this, too. Sang tenses up. He looks at the man who just landed and thinks he might know him. Shin stands. He gets up and says he did not know the man still worked as a hunter. Our hero realizes this is the guild master, and he just fell several stories to the ground. Junmo keeps a stone-cold face, looking right at Shin with a totally serious expression. Gritting his teeth, he greets the powerful man with more politeness than he actually feels. This makes the guy laugh. He asks why he is using all these formal titles like sir. Looking him over, he asks who the new guy is. Junmo answers him immediately. Junmo explains that the boy is just a hunter, associated with their specific company. Shin's pupils dilate and he lets out a sigh, looking the kid up and down. He studies our protagonist closely, but then his focus shifts to one very specific detail. Now pay attention, because this next part is pure disrespect at its finest. The protagonist feels the insult and looks totally crushed by that blunt, rude assumption. Mocking Junmo, he points out how a former elite supervisor has fallen so incredibly low. He laughs hysterically, mocking the fact that he is now babysitting a low-level hunter. He can't believe he is now babysitting an F rank dressed in a cheap sweatshirt. This irritates Junmo, who clenches his jaw, fighting the urge to insult the man's family. But Sang places a hand on his shoulder, silently telling him he needs to stay cool. He looks totally peaceful, completely unbothered by all the trash talking coming from this man. The guild leader is actually wiping tears from his eyes because he is laughing so hard. He puffs his chest out, daring Sang to speak up if he has something to say. Instead, our hero just flashes a super friendly smile, like he has come in peace. He says he is honored to meet the #1 guild master in the entire country. The flattery technique worked perfectly. Shin admits the kid has his head on straight. He says the boy does not have F-rank eyes, but then things get heavy. You and I see it, Sang is definitely just getting started here. He adds that the guild is #1 in dungeon monopolies and hunting ground restrictions. Shin's face lights up even more as Sang keeps listing their top-tier payment rates. Sang acts totally overwhelmed, claiming he has no idea how to handle such big compliments. Sang plays it up, acting like a top-tier compliment totally just blew his mind. Shin scratches his neck, liking the kid's guts, but his smile turns suddenly dark. Shin feels flattered, and a sinister energy leaks from him as his smile turns dark. He places his hands on Sang's shoulders, wanting to see if his skills match his courage. This is bad news. Our protagonist starts breaking into a nervous sweat immediately. Suddenly, a man with glasses and a bowl cut shouts for his boss. He comes running toward Shin, who clearly thinks this new guy is a total buzzkill. He sighs and says that is enough for today, finally stepping away from the boy. He looks at Sang with malicious eyes, demanding to know the boy's actual name. But our boy is not talking. He tells the guild leader to find out himself. Shin waves it off, calling him a fun guy before saying goodbye to Junmo. The man with glasses starts scolding Shin for wandering off like a child again. The assistant scolds Shin. Trust me, we are going to love the next part. All right, stick with me as we see Junmo Sang and his clone heading out in silence. Juno awkwardly thanks the protagonist for stepping in earlier, but he just brushes it off. He couldn't just stand by, he had to act. Juno then asks about his guild ties. The boy is no fool. He found out everything he needed by digging into the agency. He found rumors that Junmo was fired from the guild after some hard research. Materials were hard to track down, but he eventually stumbled on those old rumors. Some pages show people commenting that the guild is horrible, along with crude insults. Sang adds that joining means being targeted by the Hyang Guild, which is a death sentence. Comments tell people to never join JM because they will be targets of the guild. So, a little confused, Junmo asks why he chose this agency in the first place. With a sly grin, the boy replies it was because of the very good payment rate. The clone, as usual, is mute and silent, just looking out the car window. Besides, our main character says he can trust Juno with any industry drama or guilds. The man is clearly flattered by this trust and grips the steering wheel with both hands. Now pay attention here. He thanks him from the heart as they drive through the traffic. Inside the gym, some background music is playing to hype up everyone who's training. A bandaged hand, covered in bruises, trembles while performing a very difficult exercise. Toned and trembling legs also push on with full determination during the brutal session. It's Sang's clone, completely focused on the exercises, which makes other people worried. The instructor is literally biting his thumbnail, watching all that unusual and intense effort. A woman asks if it's okay for him to keep pushing, but the instructor sighs. He tried to talk some sense into him, but the kid just won't listen. The poor clone looks exhausted, but continues to do as ordered until his pocket pings. Holding the bar firmly with injured hands, he takes a break to check his phone. He keeps training until his pocket pings, so he puts the heavy bar down. Taking a break with his bruised hands, he checks the message on his phone. It is Jong Sang Wu, telling him to finish his workout and then shower. He must wait at the gym at 4 o'clock, then he slams a drink. The worried woman says he's stopped for now, and the instructor finally feels relieved. Lava slimes are everywhere, crawling across the floor of this dark and dangerous cave. Let's pause and check this out. Lava slimes are crawling across the floor of this cave. They are all over the walls and even dripping down from the ceiling. Suddenly, one explodes with a bang, releasing a strange, suffocating gas into the air. A person in a full uniform and gas mask is standing there with a hammer. After hitting the slime, they point a suction hose at the leftover red goo. This goo is absorbed into a container on their back, already almost full of liquid. The masked hunter walks through a blue portal and heads toward 2 armed guards. The person is none other than Sang, who takes off his mask and exhales. Junmo asks him how it went, and he says the gas mask is uncomfortable. Junmo explains that although the slime hunting ground is safe, hunters usually avoid it. The prophet is terrible. Looking at his damaged glove, Sang knows this won't last. He probably won't be doing this much longer given the wear and tear. Even for the most patient person, 6 hours of this is the absolute limit. Junmo says he could last more hours if he had better quality gear. He could last longer with better gear. Trust me, you and I should stay tuned. All right, you and I are about to see a brilliant way to skip a shift. Sang is sure he cannot handle that gear for 2 hours, let alone 6. But he has a brilliant idea and asks if his clone can go instead. Without a shred of pity, the boy shoves a mask onto the clone's face. He ties those combat boots tight and puts on gloves for the harsh elements. Feeling proud and hopeful, Sang says his goodbyes and wishes number 2 luck. Without wasting any more time, he asks to head toward the rabbit grounds. He looks for clone number 1, but realizes he is nowhere to be seen. A blank look hits his face as he remembers where he left him. The poor clone is still at the gym, waiting with his gear bag. His body is trembling from an intense workout while he waits as ordered. A car finally approaches and parks right next to the exhausted assistant. Stick with me, watching this exhausted clone deal with his master is absolutely hilarious. As the sun sets over the city, Junmo asks about the names. Sang explains that using creative names for identical clones would just be confusing. The man agrees that since they are copies, real names are not necessary. Changing the subject, Sang asks if guns are standard for hunting these rabbits. He mimics a gun, asking if he needs any special gear for this. Junmo says he can use his own gear or just rent some. Renting is not free, but he will eventually need to buy his own. Rented gear stays at the grounds, making it easier for owners to retrieve. Sang starts thinking until he hears a sudden and very loud mechanical sound. The man announces they have arrived at the massive Ujangan field site. The area is covered in battle tanks and heavy-duty military hardware. Guards are everywhere, heavily armed and securing the perimeter of the field. One guard uses light sticks to guide massive tanks and aircraft through. Sang realizes this place is enormous compared to that tiny slime hunting ground. Junmo explains this famous field was once the site of an invasion. You saw that too, right? This military zone is on a whole different level. The boy remembers hearing about this event while resting his hand on chin. Portals are usually disconnected, meaning most hunts happen deep inside another world. But sometimes, monsters break through and turn the human world into a battlefield. That is exactly what happened here 5 years ago when the monsters poured. The strongest ones were cleared, leaving only rank F and E monsters behind. It is a great spot, though Sang is worried about the noise level. The two head toward a weapon rental shop before entering the field. A grumpy attendant shows a gun costing 700,000 won. Sang winces at the price, but still hands over his credit card. Junmo notes that the ammunition is where the real cost lies. But if he bags even one horned rabbit, the profit covers everything. These creatures are incredibly valuable, making the high entry price worth it. The field is split into different sections for hunters to explore. They finally reach their designated spot to start the real hunt. Trust me, you and I are definitely going to want to see this. The hunt for those valuable horned rabbits is about to begin. Stick with me, you and I are about to see if our hero can actually hunt. They head to the 3rd floor, and the guide says they have finally arrived. Suddenly, a massive explosion rings out, making Junmo cover his ears in shock. The range actually has a great vibe, with people shooting and others just relaxing. A guy smoking a cigarette holds his gun, complaining about another missed shot. Nearby, another hunter shows off a horned rabbit he just managed to take down. His bag is already full, which is crazy since hunting these things is tough. Our main character is stunned because he heard these rabbits are nearly impossible to catch. Sang heads to station number 4. After Jun, Mo points out exactly where to go. While setting up, the guide asks if he is really confident in his own aim. Sang just laughs smugly while assembling his rifle, looking completely unbothered by the question. He gets cocky, bragging that he only missed 3 shots during his previous test. But back then, the target was much closer than the one he is facing now. As he finishes, he says he actually feels bad for the poor horned rabbits. He slides on some earmuffs to block out the noise of the firing range. Aiming his rifle, he declares that nothing escapes the eagle eye of Yu Jangan. Junmo is just relieved everyone is wearing ear protection before things get loud. Our hero spots a rabbit standing perfectly still way out in the open field. He shouts that he found one, reacting with speed that catches Junmo off guard. With total focus, he centers his crosshairs right on the target's tiny body. He holds his breath and carefully squeezes the trigger for the very first time. Now pay attention, because the real hunt is about to go down. Fast forward 3 hours, the sun is gone and the sky has turned pitch black. Our main character looks absolutely traumatized, like he just saw a terrifying ghost. He didn't hit a single thing, and the failure is crushing his soul. He slumps into his chair, realizing that his perfect aim was not the problem. Those rabbits have insane hearing and can sense the bullet before it even hits. You and I both know that level of reaction speed is totally broken. The distance from the tower gave them way too much time to dodge. Sang is frustrated because every time he fired, the rabbit had already vanished. Agent Jun, Mo eventually has to head out since it was getting so late. Sadly, our hero didn't even earn back the money he wasted on ammunition. He summons number 1, who promptly appears to answer his master's call. Sang orders him to hunt down the rabbits using the gun. He wants a message for every kill and a call if the ammo runs out. Just call him. He hates resorting to this, but he has to get some results eventually. He decides to head home since his long day is finally over. Relaxing in bed, he starts looking at his glowing status screen. He sees small increases in his mana because number 2 is hunting slimes. It is working very effectively. Opening his overall stats, he sees significant boosts finally taking place. Thinking about that guild leader who almost caused him trouble, he knows he must be careful. Closing his eyes to calm down, he realizes there is still a very long way to go. He yawns, exhausted, and trust me, you and I need to see what's next. Stick with me, we're about to see a small investment turn into absolute chaos. Sang's eyes snap open, unable to find any peace. He is just hoping that clone number 1 can bag a horned rabbit to justify that expensive gun. Eventually, he rolls over in bed, finally starting to drift off into a deep sleep. Suddenly, his phone screen flashes to life with a flood of midnight alerts. Among 46 unread notifications, he sees a huge wave of updates from his hardworking clone. Cut to a beautiful, bright and sunny morning in the city. The blue sky is dotted with soft clouds over the busy streets. We see a shop tucked inside a massive building complex, covered in flashing neon signs. Junmo stands there lost in thought, arms crossed while staring out the window. Suddenly, the phone rings, breaking his quiet morning. He answers fast, identifying as the JM agency. A voice on the line asks if this is the agency for Jong Sang Wu. The caller introduces himself as the manager of the local slime hunting grounds. He frantically tells Junmo to get there immediately. When the agent asks why, the manager explains that Sang has been hunting for 24 hours and lost it. Sounding visibly shaken and worried, Junmo promises to arrive as fast as possible. Meanwhile, our hero is just waking up from what he thought was a nice nap. He checks his phone and realizes his clone, number 1, is out of ammo. Now pay attention, because what he sees next on his screen is absolutely insane. He stares at the notification bar, wondering why so many messages have piled up. Sang looks like he's seen a ghost, eyes glued to the impossible numbers on screen. The agent arrives at the slime grounds, wearing the exact same expression of shock. Massive storage tanks meant for slime liquid are now filled to the very brim. The hunt was a massive success. The manager wonders how one man did all this. He can't believe Sang filled every single storage container in only one day. Nearby soldiers approach the masked hunter, looking genuinely concerned for his health. A mysterious red liquid begins dripping from the man's mask. Juno pulls out his phone. He makes a quick call, thinking that the timing for this disaster is just terrible. Sang picks up on the other end. The agent frantically shouts that tanks are full. They are about to clear the hall, so he must order the clone to stop. Sang is thrilled to hear the news, but then asks if cleaners can head to Ujengan. Junmo is confused and asks him what he really means by a request like that. You feel that too, right? That is a massive mountain of hunted horned rabbits. They are piled high. The protagonist explains that these monster carcasses are blocking the entire road. A man there says he can't even count them all. Everyone is stunned. Someone whispers that nobody would notice if he stole a few. Clone number 1 sits at his post, masked and quiet, hands filthy from hunting. Suddenly, a man in a suit approaches the clone, holding out a gold business card. He claims the clone has incredible skills. The card is for the Brown Bear Guild. Their leader is Kim Byung. But before the clone can even take the card, the man asks if he already belongs to a guild. The clone just stays silent. He completely ignores the scout. The man in the suit starts shaking with pure nerves. He tries staying calm, telling himself that most geniuses are a little bit weird. Another suit nearby crosses his arms and just dismisses the thing with a no. Trust me, you and I just witnessed one hell of a story. Wild, right? Let's jump into it. These guys in suits are desperately trying to talk to the clone. But he stays silent as Sang realizes these suits are scouts from major guilds. While they keep yapping, Sang approaches and hands his clone a small green box. In a low voice, he tells him it's more ammo and to keep hunting. He whispers for the clone to keep going and let agents handle the bodies. Sang pats his clone on the shoulder, giving him some well-deserved praise. He says he did a great job, and something wild finally happens here. For the first time, we actually see a flicker of emotion from the clone. He looks genuinely happy about the compliment and immediately reloads his weapon. With fresh ammo ready, the crowd is stunned to see him prepare for more. Everyone is dying to see this mystery hunter in action, and some start filming. Now watch closely, because Sang is starting to rethink his clone's limits. He realizes he might have underestimated what these clones can actually pull off. Currently, they have 50% of his stats, which is already pretty formidable. But their machine-like focus and lack of hesitation are his biggest hidden advantages. His incredible concentration makes them act like unstoppable machines during a hunt. Sang is totally lost in thought about the benefits of his clone army. A sudden shout of teacher snaps him right back into the moment. She asks him what he's thinking so hard about as he composes himself. He claims he was checking her progress since she looks much better today. But she insists on knowing what's really going on inside his head. He explains that he just went hunting and it went better than expected. Haein is completely shocked and literally jumps out of her seat in surprise. She had no idea her tutor was a hunter since he never mentioned it. She pulls out her phone, asking if he's heard about the current viral sensation. You and I can see his heart stop when she shows the video. It's a clip of Yu Jang-sun's Hawkeye, and Sang nearly chokes. He's totally dazed by the shock and can't even manage to give an answer. She shoves the phone closer, saying this guy already bagged 200 rabbits. He's breaking records without saying a single word to anyone who approaches him. That silence just makes him cooler and way more mysterious to the public. When people ask his name, he only claims to be Yu Jang-sun's Hawkeye. Sang's face completely sinks as he hears how much attention he's drawn. Haein thinks the guy is a legend and reveals her dream of becoming one. Sang asks if she's awakened, and she confirms she already has her license. But she's still too scared to actually step into the hunting grounds alone. She gulps, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear while looking at him. She asks if he would take her hunting once if she gets top grades. Sang says that's easy, but only if she passes her university entrance exams. The girl gets incredibly excited as he promised he would take her along. He even explains that he knows plenty of safe spots for new hunters. She wants to seal the deal right now with a proper pinky promise. He sighs, happy to see her so focused on her future goals. So he links his finger with hers, making the agreement totally official. She smiles as night falls. Trust me, you and I are ready for more. Stick with me, you're about to watch a top-tier hunter double as a secret home tutor. A bit later, the bedroom door swings open, letting a bright stream of light pour into the hallway. Haeun's mother is busy at the sink, looking surprised that the tutoring session has already come to an end. She asks if everything went well, and our main character confirms that the lesson was a total success. Meanwhile, Haeun is pressing her ear against the door, trying to hear what they're saying about her. He's actually praising her hard work. It's exactly what she needed to hear right now. The mother invites Sang to stay for dinner, but he politely declines, saying he has other business tonight. He promises to be back on Monday. Hearing this, the young girl behind the door starts sweating. She collapses onto her bed, hugging a teddy bear and daydreaming about her next appointment with her teacher. A small flame suddenly flickers in her hand. She can't stop thinking about the secret she discovered. She realizes her teacher is a powerful hunter, which made their conversation today feel absolutely incredible. Initially, she hated that her father set this up, but now, she's completely changed her mind about him. She starts picturing her teacher's smile again, and her heart just won't stop racing. He's kind, thoughtful, and to make it even better, he's a fantastic teacher as well. The girl also remembers the genuine, warm smiles Sang gives her during their long study sessions. She clutches her teddy bear even tighter, blushing at the thought of him. In her head, she's thinking that he's actually pretty cute, not a bad deal, right? But suddenly, her mood shifts. She turns bright red and lets out a long sigh. She sits back down with a look of pure determination, deciding she needs to study 10 times harder. The night is silent and peaceful. Under the dark sky, our protagonist arrives at the hunter base. Pay attention now, because we're heading straight into the heart of the hunter base. Juno is already waiting there, and seems shocked to see the main character show up. Sang spots his agent and asks if he's been waiting here this entire time. Nearby, several men are hauling heavy boxes. Junmo explains he's overseeing the collection. He asks where Sang was, and Sang just says he was busy tutoring. One man walks past with a massive horned rabbit slung across his broad shoulders. The agent mentions he's worked with many collection teams, but this particular job is a first for him. He's never had to call in this many people, just to gather a bunch of low-level horned rabbits before. The final count was 352. Processing that many monsters takes a massive crew. You can see the men working hard to get everything sorted and moved out. Juno asks if Sang checked his phone for the payment, but Sang hasn't had the chance yet. He pulls it out to check now, and suddenly, that once empty bank account is overflowing. You and I both know this feeling, when that empty bank account finally hits the jackpot. With sweat beads on his forehead, he asks if he was really supposed to get this much. Junmo explains his skills outclassed Frank, so he's bumped the pay to an 83% rate. Since he's getting E-rank pay, Sang is incredibly grateful, even though he's not officially ranked yet. Sang says he's not technically E-rank yet, but he thanks the agent over and over again. Suddenly, a rough voice calls out to them from across the room. Sang, his clone, and Junmo all turn to see who's making all that noise. A tough-looking guy with a scar on his face rudely asks if Junmo is the manager here. He points aggressively at the clone, who's still standing there in his hat and face mask. The agent steps forward to protect the clone, calmly asking the man what he wants. He claims his prey was stolen, and trust me, he looks absolutely furious about it. This guy claims the clone snatched every single rabbit he was hunting. Now, he wants the credit. Trust me, you and I are about to see this go south fast. All right, stick with me. You and I are about to watch this smug jerk regret everything. Dealing with thugs like this is a nightmare, Junmo whispers to the boss. We picked the wrong place, he warns. Sang can't believe guys like this exist. Rubbing his chin, our main character starts cooking up a plan for this jerk. He leans in close, telling his agent he's got a perfect idea ready. The opportunistic jerk demands to know what they're whispering about, acting all tough. He holds out his hand, claiming he'll settle for 10% of the payment. Sang looks absolutely drained, like his soul just left his body in pure shock. He's completely dumbfounded. The thug asks if Sang thinks he looks like a clown. Like some kind of joke, Sang pats the clone's shoulder and tells the guy. Don't worry, we won't be back for a few days, he tells his agent. Now, watch this part closely. Sang is about to push this guy to the limit. I'm not done with you yet, he screams, but they just walk right past. They ignore the man entirely, with Sang saying they're heading to the nearby cafe. This makes the guy extremely furious. Veins start popping out on his forehead. He winds up for a massive punch aimed right at the main character. Don't ignore me, he screams, and quickly Sang orders number 1 to act. The clone's eyes flare up like a robot. He steps in front of the hit. The punch lands with full force just before it hits the main character. Boom, number 1 is sent flying backwards, leaving the thug looking a bit confused. The force was incredible. Poor number 1 is tossed through the air like nothing. He crashes into some boxes like a pinball, finally landing hard on his back. His arms are spread wide. That hit definitely hurt, look at his scuffed mask. The thug's attitude flips. He claims he didn't even hit the guy that hard. Sang whips out his phone and starts recording, yelling about the man's cruelty. You won't get away with such violence in a sacred hunting ground, he yells. You saw that too, right? Well, watch how Sang finishes this encounter off. The thug is at a loss, looking around as the cleanup crew stares him down. Sang says it would be a shame if this video hit the hunter web. The man's face is red and veiny. He's nervous and totally out of words. Getting closer, our protagonist places a hand on the guy's shoulder, looking convincing. With a dark aura, he suggests they just go their separate ways right now. The man grits his teeth in rage, left with absolutely zero choice here. Later, at a cozy cafe, Sang is having a drink and asks about the guild. Startled, he mentions the Hyang Guild. Junmo believes the thug was a member. Since the guild is so massive, it's packed with all sorts of brawling scumbags. The clone chugs his drink in one gulp. Sang asks how the agent knew. How could you tell he was from that specific guild? He asks with curiosity. Junmo explains that from the second he arrived, the guy gave a sinister stare. He believes that vibe is the signature work of the Hyang Guild members. Sang thinks it's a grudge. They likely thought the clone was a rival hunter. Specifically, someone contracted with the rival JM group. They were looking for revenge. Junmo nods, but he still looks a bit nervous about their future encounters. We'll have to be careful from now on. They're not the type to forget faces. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. Let's dive into how this rookie handles a failing agency where hunters never last. Agent Junmo admits his hunters quit fast with barely any change in their pockets. Sabotage from Hyung is still a threat, but our boy already knew the risks and signed on. The poor agent is still worried, but he respects the decision and understands. Sang won't let those thugs intimidate him, and he already has a secret plan. He is planning a shortcut to get incredibly strong, and fast too. The veteran agent is impressed because this kid is actually sharp and focused. Their talk continues at a local coffee shop for a good while. Time passes as they enjoy themselves at the cafe while discussing the boy's strategy. After their long talk, the boy asks the man for his honest opinion. Juno is stunned. He never considered looking at the situation that way before. He notes it down and suggests meeting at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. They agree to meet at the massive and beautiful Hunter Market building. It is a huge place with colorful floors and everything a hunter needs. They sell gear and weapons and have been around since the beginning. Everyone shops here, but a new department store changed the entire industry. This new giant store entered and took over the whole market. Watch this, Sang's finally gearing up with some high-end, heavy-duty armor. This titanium suit guards against dangerous E-class monster attacks in the field. Our main character loves it. It's super light and comfy to wear. Plus, it comes with a dagger conveniently and strategically strapped to his side. He draws the blade, knowing it's a great feature for his style. He orders 2 more identical sets from the seller, who's happy to help. The boy leaves the store, finally feeling the true power of money. Now that gear is sorted, it's time to find some broken skills. He's searching for a specific familiar skill, though it might be rare. The agent points them toward a unique shop called Heritage to look. This place is packed with mysterious, glowing crystal orbs in every corner. They search the glass cases until Sang finally spots exactly what he wants. He finds the skill he was looking for inside a blue orb. The familiar skill allows a hunter to share senses with their pets. It enables some powerful stuff, but it also costs a literal fortune. You saw that price too. Honestly, it's absolutely insane and bank-breaking. He honestly wonders if he should sell a kidney just to afford this power-up. He shamelessly asks his agent for a massive cash advance on his pay. Poor Junmo gets teary-eyed, but says he will try to lend him 50 million won for now. Sang thanks him and plans to pay the rest back in easy installments. He's betting everything that this skill will be incredibly useful for him. With its help, they'll be able to make that money back in no time. They buy the expensive little orb and head to a brand new location. Our hero starts reading the instruction manual for the new device. There are specific activation rules for mana users and regular people like him. Since he lacks mana, he uses a small remote to turn it on. He then places his hand very close to keep contact with his body. Will it work? Let's find out if this risky gamble pays off. All right, stick with me, because we are about to see this underdog unlock game-breaking power. An orange glow erupts from the orb, flooding the entire room with a blinding light. The energy swells into a massive explosion, shaking the very foundations of the space. Suddenly, a notification pops up. A brand new familiar skill was just created. This level 1 skill allows him to share senses directly with his chosen target. Our main character stares at his hands, completely stunned by what just happened. With the orb gone, he clenches his fists, feeling pure raw energy surging through his veins. He stands up and summons his loyal, obedient clones to his side right away. The 2 clones walk in perfect sync, approaching their master with absolute precision. They are geared up and ready, wearing the tactical armor he bought earlier. He gives them an encouraging look and tells them it is time to begin. Now pay attention, because here is where the agent realizes he was wrong. The agent is blown away by the results, admitting he never expected this outcome. It is absolutely wonderful, and even a veteran like him is left totally speechless. Sang explains that despite having half his stats, one clone hunted over 300 rabbits. Even crazier, When ordered to take a hit, the clone stepped up without hesitation. It takes insane mental strength to stand there and take a punch to the face. He believes his clones are more than capable of taking down that local thug. Junmo realizes the secret here isn't just stats, it is about perfect body control. The main character confirms this, planning to use that control to his full advantage. The agent asks for the plan, and Sang says he needs 2 specific locations. He needs training grounds to master both long-range shooting and short-range combat skills. They arrive at the first site, where a massive, burly instructor is waiting. Next, they hit the shooting range to practice taking down clay pigeons with precision. Sang decides to push these clones to their absolute limits to shatter their boundaries. Okay, watch this. The intensity of this training is completely unreal. Both the muscle-bound teacher and the old range master are stunned by them. At the physical gym, the clone demands a real duel, making the teacher nervous. Over at the range, instead of a standard shotgun, the clone asks for a pistol. Both clones have that same death stare, cold, determined, and ready for war. They are sure about this. The physical clone grabs his batons and prepares. Meanwhile, the other clone picks up a live firearm, not some weak practice gun. The range instructor is sweating, holding the signal device as he calls the start. Back at the gym, the teacher sends in his most unhinged fighter to test him. The challenges begin. The crazy fighter lunges as a clay pigeon is launched. In a blur of speed, the clone snatches a baton right from his opponent. At the exact same time, the other clone snipes the pigeon with one shot. The burly instructor is standing there, with his jaw practically hitting the floor. The match kicks off. The crazy man lunges as the pigeon flies. With lightning speed, the clone manages to snatch a baton mid-swing while the other clone takes aim. He shatters the flying target with a single pistol shot with perfect accuracy. The massive instructor is frozen in place, unable to believe his own eyes. You saw that, right? The range master looks like he just saw a ghost. The first clone stays in a perfect fighting stance, focused and ready. He holds his baton with lethal precision, waiting for the next move, and the shooter clone holds his smoking gun. Trust me, things are about to get wild. Back to Sang and Juno, where Sang explains why he needs that specific familiar skill. The agent is stunned by the depth of his plan. He didn't expect this move. Juno still doesn't get why Sang wants to share vision with a clone like that. But Sang clarifies it's about more than just sight. It goes much deeper than that. He reminds him that every single sense will be linked. It's a total connection. Imagine using this while the clones are deep in combat training or target practice. Sang shuts his eyes and focuses hard, finally triggering his familiar skill. A neon blue aura erupts around him, simmering with massive amounts of raw energy. Pay attention here. His senses are about to explode into a whole new dimension. He starts feeling everything. Suddenly, he can see through the eyes of his fighting clone. He sees the clone wielding a baton as a fierce opponent charges in with force. The protagonist watches the battle from a distance, seeing every move happen in real time. He can tweak the joint angles and adjust body balance to dodge every incoming strike. Thanks to that, the clone slips away from the attack with reflexes like a ninja. Sang is the one controlling the muscle movements and the flow of force now. On top of that, he's even managing their breathing to prepare for the perfect shot. This makes the clone's aim and dexterity practically perfect. It's next level. Even his line of sight is being strategically modified for maximum precision. The clay pigeon looks like it's moving in slow motion, making it an easy target. And Sang can do this for every single movement his clones make, start to finish. He stays there with his eyes closed, hyper-focused on every tiny detail. Now he slowly opens his eyes, pulling himself back into his own reality. With a determined grin, he realizes he can master all their skills at once. He is unstoppable. As the skill stays active, the blue aura flares up like a flickering flame. Knowing he made a killer deal, he looks at his hand, proud of his skill. The experience was incredible. He felt the wind as a staff missed his face. He smelled the gunpowder and felt the heavy kickback of the gun. It all felt so real. He can even feel the exhaustion beginning to weigh down on his clones' bodies. Let's pause for a second. He didn't even move, yet he experienced every single sensation here. Since their bodies are identical, he basically just gained all their muscle memory and experience. It's like he could mimic any of those complex movements himself right this second. A status screen pops up, confirming his strength and cooldowns have actually improved now. He decides to link up with number 1 and check on his current fight. Once again, he closes his eyes and focuses to reactivate that totally broken skill. Sang's flaming blue aura explodes outward as he releases his hidden power. We see several punching bags around. He's just shifted his awareness to the gym. Number 1 is in a combat stance, staff ready, staring down his next opponent. This guy uses 2 staffs and wears a kimono. He looks like a high-level master. Sang can tell this guy is a challenge. You and I know things just got serious. The other students are totally shocked. The trainer is actually stepping in to fight personally. Both fighters prepare to go all out in this showdown. Number 1 starts with a precise strike that disarms the trainer immediately. The impact is devastating, sending the massive, muscular trainer stumbling back. And in his thoughts, "Stick with me, we're about to witness a training session that'll blow your mind." But his defense, that's a whole different story. He's reading every single move perfectly. The trainer starts feeling the pressure, focus intensifying. Veins literally bulge on his face. He strikes, a heavy blow lands directly on the clone's staff. The impact is real. The clone's arms begin to tremble under the sheer force. Suddenly, he powers through with insane strength, catching the instructor completely off guard. The 2 warriors lock eyes in a cold, sinister stare-down right in the middle. The instructor's floored, not just by the power, but by that instant copy skill. Panic starts setting in for the big guy. He's actually worried about losing this. He throws a desperate last resort move, but the clone slips right past him. Pay attention here, because even the crowd can't believe what just happened. Total disbelief, and seeing the instructor's guard wide open, the clone makes his move. He connects. The blow slams the staff and rattles the man's entire shoulder. Shockwaves, the instructor is reeling, feeling every ounce of that massive impact. It's like smoke rising from the staff. He's pinned, he's finally cornered. With the wall at his back, number 1 gears up for the final strike. But don't count the instructor out yet. He still has one trick left. He uses the wall for leverage, flipping through the air to dodge the hammer blow. Sang's jaw drops. His eyes are wide as he watches this insane display. The muscular trainer sticks the landing right behind the clone, eyes locked and hyper-focused. He's still ready for more. The battle isn't over just yet. The students are beaming with pride, but they know that was a close call. Meanwhile, poor Sang is feeling the backlash. His wrist is absolutely screaming in pain. Pulling himself up, the trainer admits that last move was incredibly dangerous. He looks at number 1. "Still want to keep going?" he asks. Sang checks in on his clone. The copy just bows his head, hidden by his cap. Then boom, an incredible leap. He mimics the trainer's wall move perfectly. The students are left completely speechless. They can't believe their eyes right now. You saw that too, right? The student just became the master in seconds. Sang reaches out mentally again. Are you really going to keep this up? Number 1 nails the landing, finishing the jump exactly like the instructor did. Holding the staff close to his face, he politely asks for one more round. The trainer just smiles, challenge accepted. He readies his dual staffs for war. Sang's seen enough here, time to swap focus over to number 2. A brilliant blue aura flares up. The skill is officially live and active. Boom, the target is pulverized midair, turning into thousands of tiny shards. A fancy blonde guy laughs, asking his darling if she caught that shot. His partner claps along, calling him dear, with a long, black-haired smile. Sang stays quiet to be polite, but deep down, he's dying from the cringe. He notices number 2 is so locked in, he's even clearing everyone else's targets. Whatever, he decides to ignore the weirdness and focus entirely on the next shot. The flashy guy calls for more targets. Now, number 2 steps up to the line. Sang stabilizes his upper body, locking in his aim with deadly focus. Stay still, just pivot, follow the trajectory, don't let the body sway. Trust me, we need to see where this lands. Stick with me, the trajectory is lined up and he's ready to pull the trigger. The clay pigeon shatters into a million pieces, another point for the marksman. Smoke drifts from the barrel as clone number 2 watches the results. Sang reminds him to memorize every tiny detail. Focus is everything here. With a sharp, ready gaze, shooter number 2 is absolutely dialed in. The sky turns deep orange as the sun starts to dip below the horizon. Sang is focused, a flaming blue aura showing he's tapping his familiar skill. He opens his eyes, looking serious and definitely not in a friendly mood. He's totally drained, because jumping between clone number 1 and 2 is exhausting. Staring at his own hand, he feels the entire world starting to spin. His mana is completely tapped out and dizziness is kicking in. He needs rest. Our main character collapses on a bench. Meanwhile, the clones are moving wildly. Since they have no fear, they just charge forward without a single hesitation. Next time, he plans to join them to see what happens himself. Now pay attention here, because someone is approaching the spot where Sang sits. A girl with purple hair walks by. It's Haeyoung, and she spots him immediately. Our hero is genuinely shocked to run into her in a place like this. Worried, he asks what she's doing out so late. She mentioned the library. He is clearly suspicious, but she snaps back that she was doing homework. Unbeknownst to them, a group of sketchy men are watching from the shadows. A tough guy smokes while asking if this kid is the target they mentioned. The three of them look like they crawled right out of a mob movie. One of them is on the phone. The voice on the other end is furious. You and I both know the boss is furious about Kangjun Mo being released. The guy who tried bribing Sang is terrified, mentioning that someone was filming. The voice screams about the recording, but then tells him to just forget it. The boss orders him to stay quiet and keep away from Yujang Field. Do not go anywhere near the Yujang Field, just disappear for a while. He adds that if anything happens, he has no connection to the Hyang Guild. Finally, he tells him to just act like a common street thug and hangs up. The man is livid. He slams his phone against the wall with everything. He is absolutely losing it, screaming at the person who just hung up on him. Full of rage, he stomps the phone into the dirt like a total madman. While he's smashing the device, he screams about who they think they are. He's throwing a total tantrum when a voice asks why he's so angry. It's Gun So Hyung, a massive, mean guy standing there with a long-haired associate. The big guy looks terrifying, and the man with the long hair is eerie. That smile is purely sinister. This is clearly a very dangerous individual. Cigarette butts cover the ground of this dump. These three guys are just weird. They're so intimidating that people on the street are literally walking around them. Hyung calls the guy a kid, mocking him for joining the top guild. Shaking in his boots, the man asks if there is still work for him. He says the guild told him to stay away from the Yujengan field. Hyung turns to Changwon, who might have some part-time work for him. Trust me, they just spotted Sang and Haeyoung watching from nearby. Stick with me, we're about to see this casual stroll turn into a nightmare. Ahead of them, the scarred thug points and identifies Sang as the recorder. The massive boss tells him to chill out, saying he's been way too out of control. He leans against a pillar to enjoy the show, watching the pair with cold eyes. His partner joins him, both focusing their gaze on the protagonist and the young girl. Sang looks totally relaxed while chatting, appearing completely unbothered by their presence. Haeyoung asks what her teacher is doing here, and he just says he's out exercising. Suddenly, a voice cuts through their conversation, killing the peaceful mood of the stroll. He claims his little brother is owed something, and three mean thugs surround them. Mean-looking gangster guys approach them. The girl asks who they are, and Sang says he's never seen anyone fatter, but then he sees. Recognizing him instantly, our hero starts calculating moves for his powerful clones. Standing in front of the girl, the main character asks how he can help them. Pay attention, this is where the vibe gets incredibly tense for everyone here. Before Scarface can explode, his chubby friend tells him to take a breath and relax. He explains they're here, because Sang has a video of his brother making a mistake. Apparently, his brother was just a bit too excited, and now they want that footage. Delete the video now, the big guy says, and they'll leave peacefully. Holding up his phone, Sang asks if everything will really be fine after it's deleted. He points the device at them, questioning if there's any real guarantee for his safety. The hefty leader gives a sarcastic little smile, hiding his mouth with a heavy hand. He admits Sang isn't an idiot, and confirms they definitely won't let him leave unharmed. Since the protagonist wasn't smart enough to delete it earlier, it doesn't even matter now. It makes no difference, he adds, as the situation has already escalated way beyond a video. Whispering softly, the boy tells Hae-young to wait for the perfect moment to run away. He retorts to the thugs, insisting that there is actually a huge difference here. You saw that look, right? He's definitely not backing down now. He didn't imagine getting into such a mess so soon, but he settles into a fighting stance and says the difference is he'll beat the crap out. Of all three thugs, the boss laughs and admires his pure confidence as the main character runs forward and the boss orders his goons to strike. Little Pat, our hero manages to dodge the first blow, but it's 2 against 1, which won't be easy, and the long-haired guy lands a blow right on the poor boy's head. Meanwhile, the other guy lands solid kick on him. Feeling the impact, our protagonist is in serious trouble. Before he recovers, another punch hits his chin extremely hard. Extremely. Worried, Hae-young yells for her teacher as the boy starts falling to the ground after being hit by so many attacks. He's badly hurt now. He is hurting, realizing his very first fight is going much worse than he ever imagined. The brave girl steps in, light charging at her fingertips. The energy forms a bright ball as she screams for the 3 thugs to stay back. Struggling to get up, Sang looks at his student who's trying to defend him, but looking closer, he notices something very worrying. Worries him, the young lady is trying, but she's trembling a lot. And trust me, you and I know this situation is about to absolutely explode. All right, let's dive into a story where bullies think a high school girl is an easy target. He stares her down, mocking her and asking what she'll do if they refuse to back off. This monster shows no mercy, looming over her to terrify her. But right before he strikes, the girl screams for him to stay away, and suddenly, a massive wave of energy erupts. His massive, blubbery frame keeps coming. The girl starts trembling, gritting her teeth in total fear. She is shaking in her boots, but manages to throw a desperate, clumsy strike at him. Her hand flies forward, aiming straight for the big guy's swollen gut with everything she has. That hit triggers a violent explosion that thunders through the area, kicking up thick smoke. Dust and smoke fill the air. The other 2 thugs panic and shout out for Hung. As the smoke starts to clear, it turns out that Hung is somehow still standing there. He is completely fine, laughing that being awakened is common and she should stop bragging. The only real damage he took was to his clothes, which are now completely shredded. His torn shirt reveals dark, sinister tattoos. He raises a massive arm, preparing a brutal blow. Now pay attention, this is where the momentum shifts. He tells her to grow up. Right as he is about to hit her, Sang suddenly leaps in to shield her. With fire in his eyes, he tells the big guy that their fight isn't over. Putting every ounce of strength into it, Sang lands a heavy punch right on his face. The guy's guard drops, exposing an awakened bracelet that leaves the girl in total shock. Our hero is giving his absolute all in this brutal, unfair 3-on-1 street battle. Hung groans in actual pain from that solid hit. Sang stays low and ready. The big guy is fuming. Sang realizes he needs to tap into those clone memories. He remembers that the key is watching the opponent's shoulders to predict the next move. To dodge these hits, he has to move early. Fighting is more than just swinging. Now here's where it gets tactical. You have to engage the whole body to win. It's a complex chain of motion. By staying sharp, Sang lands another clean, effective blow. He tags the guy again, but realizes he won't be able to dodge the next counter. Since he is going to get hit anyway, he stops dodging and prepares a trade. He drives a powerful double punch into the giant's gut. Sang is gasping for air. His opponent is in worse shape, doubled over. Sang's face is bruised from earlier hits. He wipes his mouth. Hung admits the kid actually knows how to fight after all. With eyes glowing red, he claims he was only holding back because Sang looked pathetic. Sang is hurting from that last trade, but he holds his ground, refusing to budge. He landed a hit, but this guy is a tank. Could he have a strength-boosting skill? If he is that strong, Sang knows he can't afford to take even one hit. He decides to go all in on speed. The giant charges with a twisted, evil grin. Using his quick reflexes, Sang strikes first, before the big man can even get close. That punch lands dead center. Now Hung is nursing a face full of fresh bruises. Absolutely furious, he screams at our hero while swinging his arms like a wild animal. He's desperate to land anything. Sang just dances around him, jumping away with ease. The big guy lunges again, but Sang is way too fast, weaving through every swing. He finds another opening and connects a sharp jab right to the bully's ribs. Hung is gasping now, his massive body slowing down as the pain starts mounting. Every time the giant misses, Sang is there to make him pay for his arrogance. He realizes the brute is finally wearing out, opening the door for one final strike. And trust me, you and I are about to see exactly how this ends. All right, stick with me as Sang lands a blow that actually leaves a massive mark. The giant tries to swing back, but Sang doesn't miss a beat, punching that massive face again. Nearby, Chang is still huddled on the ground, watching the action and cheering his partner on. Our hero is totally locked in. He is 100% focused on this brutal battle. Hung is absolutely furious about taking all those hits right to the face and starts drooling with pure rage. His skin turns red and his tattoos start glowing with intensity. That massive arm he is prepping seems to have doubled in size as he prepares to blast Sang into next week. Now watch this part closely, because everything is about to go totally sideways for Sang. Sang knows he needs to dodge, but a treacherous hand suddenly grabs his foot mid-move. He looks down to see that coward Chang Wan holding him back like a snake. He's trapped. Now our boy is in a real nightmare spot with nowhere to run. He can't jump or even shift his weight. The giant is ready to unload everything. He puts all his rage into a devastating punch right into Sang's gut. It hurts. The impact feels like a rhinoceros just gored him right through the stomach. It's brutal. Hun is devastated. She screams no as her eyes widen in total shock and worry. The blow sends our boy flying straight back into a brick wall. He collapses down. Clutching his stomach, he's struggling to breathe, but he just can't catch his wind. The power of that hit was insane. Trying to stay calm, he realizes he desperately needs to regulate his breathing. His eyes stay locked on his enemy. He refuses to stay down, but Hung is already prepping another massive killing blow. That giant arm swings. The impact is massive and a black smoke cloud erupts. But wait, it's actually Young who is suffering the consequences of that impact. His eyes roll back as he gasps for air. Sang watches his opponent confused, and honestly, you and I are probably just as shocked by this twist. Hun is the one responsible, standing in a perfect combat stance with hands raised. The other two thugs are on the floor cursing her out because they're totally blindsided. She turns to them while they scream she's an idiot who should have just run. But then, out of nowhere, the clones appear and start jumping those two cheaters. The girl is totally stunned but incredibly relieved. One of the clones stands right beside her, wearing a mask. Hyung gets distracted by the sounds of the brawl. He looks back to see the chaos, but Sang calls out for his attention. Wiping blood from a cut, he says he can finally breathe easy now. Time's up. The bulky giant charges at our hero, with pure hatred burning in his eyes. But Sang looks incredibly confident right now. He pulls out that same wall technique. It's the move he used on the instructor back at the training field. Watch. He uses the wall as a foothold to dodge. Falling back down, he passes Hung. He thanks the giant for being a perfect practice dummy. Using that insane falling momentum, he delivers a phenomenal kick straight to the giant's head. After that wild move, Sang sits on the floor panting and totally exhausted, but he's looking pretty good. The big guy, he's completely broken on the floor. His friends aren't doing much better. Suddenly, a status screen pops up showing Sang has gained some serious muscle strength. His speed, stamina, and dexterity all shot up. Plus, his cloning ability just leveled up. He can make 3 clones now. Even with a bruised face, he laughs and trust me, you and I know he's just getting started. All right, stick with me. As soon as he relaxes, his body just collapses onto the floor. The clones in Han rush over to check on him, but Sang is just smiling. Feeling that sweet victory. Later, the city lights up as the night sets in. Hee-Yin's hand is all bandaged up, and Sang asks why she didn't just run away. She says things would have been way worse without her help, and she's actually right. He confirms it, voice still shaky. Then, the girl drops a massive bombshell on him. She never imagined the legendary Supreme Hunter was actually just one of Sang's clones. The clone starts acting all smug. Watch this, our main character is not amused at all. He tells her to keep it quiet, and she wonders why he'd skip being famous. Sang explains it just draws the wrong kind of attention, so she promises to stay silent. They reach her place, but she seems a little bummed the walk is over. The main character asks if her hand is okay, or if she can even write. She laughs it off, showing him it was only her left hand that got hurt. She jokingly asks if she can skip homework since she's injured, but he's too sharp. Didn't she already finish every bit of it at the library? No luck there. The girl groans, annoyed that his memory is only this good at times like these. Sang touches his face and genuinely thanks his student for everything she did for him. He knows he only won because she distracted his opponent at the exact right moment. Blushing, she admits she played a pretty massive role in the win today. Then she teases him, saying a real thank you needs a full meal, not just talk. Now you and I both know she is just inviting herself to a dinner date. With a look of total determination, she makes him promise to take her out. They say goodbye, and as she heads inside happy, Sang thinks about the menu. He decides he will make sure his student gets plenty of meat to eat. He walks off satisfied, but notice how both clones are staring with wide eyes. It is a bit creepy. He tells them to quit slacking and work. They point out it is late, and the official training grounds are already closed today. So the boy just crouches down, picks up a stick, and gives a smile. He hands them the sticks and tells them they can train in the park instead. 1 month later, we are on the street where Agent Juno does his work. He's on the phone with Sang, checking in to see how things are going. The boy says everything was a success. He has evolved even further now. He can now snipe targets with a pistol and even summon a 3rd clone. Junmo asks if this means his learning speed has gone through the roof. Looking at the status screen, we see the insane progress he has made lately. He tells his agent he has a surprise ready, even if it is sudden. Can Juno secure 3 rank key hunting grounds for him by tomorrow? Proudly, the agent promises to get them done, no matter what it takes. He asks for the schedule, and Sang says they will exercise then go hunting. After hanging up the call, the protagonist turns his attention back to his 3 clones. One will train upper body, another lower, and the 3rd handles the cardio. He tells them to hit the park and be back by 12 sharp. The 3 bumbling clones almost walk out with their weapons in plain sight. He yells at them to leave that stuff at home before they go. And just like that, you and I leave him analyzing the next hunt. All right, you and I are about to see how this genius levels up his army. He realizes these clones learn fast. They can mimic and copy almost anything perfectly. If he masters monster patterns first, his clones will have an absolute cakewalk. Our hero dives deep into the data to give his shadows the ultimate edge. He starts binge-watching top-tier tutorial videos, obsessing over every detail of monster combat. These guides break down the best weapons and strategies to guarantee maximum success. Fast forward to the next morning, we are back at our cloning hero's place. The clones are returning right on schedule, looking as sharp and ready as ever. With massive dark circles under his eyes, the poor guy stayed up all night working. While he is practically dying from exhaustion, his clones are somehow still overflowing with energy. He tells them to hit the showers and eat up before the next phase. As they gear down, he reviews the massive database of monsters he just researched overnight. He plans to track their progress and master mana manipulation while his clones take a break. Suddenly, his agent messages him he will be at the front door in 10 minutes. The clones are currently stuffing their faces, so he tells them to get ready fast. Now watch this part carefully. Junmo and Sang both notice this terrifying aura. The efficient agent actually managed to lock down 3 training grounds located nearby. Our protagonist thanks him, but explains he won't be coming along for this trip. He asks the agent to supervise the clones while he stays behind to train himself. He is going to use his familiar skill to sync up while practicing mana breathing. The car engines roar to life, and the clones are officially ready for the mission. Back at home, Sang gets into position, ready to start grinding his own power level. He puts on some lo-fi training beats with spoken instructions to help him focus. Every breath is slow and deliberate, moving with extreme caution to maintain perfect form. Sitting cross-legged, a vibrant blue aura begins to swirl around his body as he focuses. The guide tells him to recall the exact feeling of activating his skills for results. He starts to channel that memory, focusing every ounce of his mind on that sensation. He remembers the familiar skill, felt like a surge of energy, leaving his physical body. Eyes closed tight, he feels that power circulating through every vein and single muscle. His breathing is now perfectly controlled, synced up with the voice in his headphones. Suddenly, a strange new heat starts building right in the center of his chest. It is like all his energy is gathering in one spot, flowing like liquid fire. His inner world feels like a vast universe, filled with endless constellations of power. And just like that, everything clicks. Check out this notification that just popped up. He just unlocked the meditation skill, which gives a massive boost to his mana recovery. Meanwhile, inside a dark hunting ground, a wounded man is desperately crawling across the floor. Dead monsters are everywhere, and the warrior is badly injured from a fight he barely survived. He cannot understand how a monster this terrifying could exist in a rank E dungeon. A beast with jagged, razor-sharp teeth is busy devouring the remains of an alien fish. The dying man realizes he has to report this anomaly to the authorities right away. This thing is way beyond the power levels allowed for this low-tier hunting zone. In a moment of pure panic, he catches a reflection in his bracelet and freezes. There is a massive, dark shadow looming right behind him, ready to strike again. The creature lunges forward, and a bone-chilling scream echoes from the depths of the dungeon. So what do you and I think? Juno just arrived, and things are getting serious. All right, you and I are diving into the final hunting ground for these clones. It is filled with alien fish known for having absolutely devastating, bone-crushing jaws. As a clone shuts the car door, Junmo warns him to stay sharp. He pulls out his phone and lets Sang know all 3 clones are at their zones. Junmo is buzzing. The idea of hunting in 3 places at once is totally insane. Having one person dominate 3 different zones at once, that is pure, unfiltered genius. If these results come back positive, the entire hunter industry is going to be shaken up. Meanwhile, back home, Sang is feeling smug because he has already mastered mana breathing. But his ego takes a hit when he realizes mana breathing and meditation are different. His face drops. Turns out these are 2 completely separate skills he needs to learn. Scratching his head, he figures grabbing that mana breathing skill is going to be tough. Just then, his phone pings with a message. The clones have officially arrived on site. Time to focus. He activates his familiar skill to see how the clones are doing. We see a massive rat get smashed right in its disgusting, oversized yellow teeth. Now watch this part closely. This is exactly where the real action begins for us. That is clone number 1, currently hunting down a rat that is honestly just repulsive. So far, the hunt is going smooth. Having those guides around was a total lifesaver. More of those vile rats start swarming. Sang decides to see if guides are useful. He thinks back to the tutorial he watched. These things are more than just ugly. Rats are known as the most annoying rank F monsters in the entire game. The instructor in the video suggests only hunting these things in large, coordinated squads. But if you are forced to go it alone, there are specific ways to survive. Since they charge in straight lines, the trick is keeping distance and just firing. And that is exactly what clone number 1 does. He stays back and keeps blasting. But get this, guns are not always enough. You and I are about to see a brawl. If they get too close, it is time for some brutal hand-to-hand combat. A rat skull is rock hard, so you have to aim for a different spot. The spine is the target. The clone moves with precision and strikes it perfectly. It is a direct hit. The monster is deleted instantly, but these things multiply fast. Their numbers are endless. The instructor pushes his glasses up with a calm look. He says if you have studied, these monsters are nothing more than free experience points. Someone in the video shouts that hitting a moving spine is not as easy as it looks. Doesn't matter to the clone. He is locked in and ready for any incoming challenge. Bullet casings rain down as he continues to rain fire on every single target. Every shot hits the spine dead on. They are being wiped out without any trouble. Over in a desert zone with shifting sand dunes, the second clone is moving. Suddenly, the ground erupts like an earthquake. Something huge is hiding under the sand. An enormous scorpion appears. These clones share all the techniques of their master. They feel zero fear. They just hunt without caring about the level of their opponent. That massive power gap, it does not intimidate them at all. They get it done. The clone crushes the scorpion, gripping his weapon tight as Sang watches the whole thing. You and I are experiencing this hunt through his eyes, and it is a rush. Status windows start popping up everywhere as the clones stack up the victories. In another zone, Clone 3 is shredding through those alien fish. As Sang's stats climb, his clones grow stronger too. Now, our hero is officially locked in. All right, you and I are watching Sang clear F-class fields using his powerful clone imitations. Footsteps approach. 2 random hunters enter the strangely quiet hunting ground. They are talking about how weirdly silent it is today, not a single monster in sight. Up ahead, they spot something strange and move in closer to investigate. It is a massive, bloody pile of dead monster carcasses. Thinking about the gold, they decide to pack everything into boxes immediately. The weather is perfect, clear skies and just a few light clouds. A clone stands guard, surrounded by a mountain of defeated monsters. Sang knows things are going great, but he has a nagging feeling he has forgotten something. Panic hits him hard when he suddenly remembers the hunter Hawk. He recalls cleaning staff taking carcasses and realizes his huge mistake. He has not collected a single piece of loot from his kills. Immediately, he orders his 3 clones to stop everything and start gathering the bodies. But he worries someone already beat him to it. This is pure torture. He actually sheds a few tears of regret over the lost money. Trust me, we have all been there. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration hits him. He sees a new opportunity. He notices alien fish carcasses that clone number 3 is just ignoring. The clone says he did not kill them, but greedy Sang is not having it. He explains that now is not the time for honesty. Those fish are worth serious cash. Number 3 moves in to start collecting the fishy remains. It is a disgusting sight. The monsters were chopped up like literal baby food. As number 3 picks up the pieces, he spots something very wrong. Deep inside one of the carcasses, he finds a strange object. It is definitely not part of a fish. He asks Sang if he should take it. Sang's eyes widen in horror. You and I are seeing this right, aren't we? It is a decomposing human arm. Suddenly, something moves behind the clone. Sang catches the movement too and shouts a desperate warning. The clone instantly grabs his weapon and gets ready. He stands alert, wondering if it is a monster or someone trying to steal his loot. Then a strange noise from behind. Something is definitely watching him. A chopped-up alien fish head falls right in front of him. Behind the clone, a massive eel-like sea monster is lurking. The fish head was bait. Number 3 realizes this is an ambush. He spins around fast, but it is already too late to react. His arm is ripped off like a Lego piece, completely effortless and brutal. Poor number 3 is paralyzed by a flood of agony and confusion. Here is the dark side of using a familiar skill. It is a shared link. Sang screams like the world is ending. The pain is real. He feels the excruciating agony in his own arm as if he lost it himself. Then the connection snaps. He wakes up from the living nightmare. Trembling and terrified, the boy checks his arm to make sure it is there. It is still attached, he can move it normally, it was just the link. But the experience was so traumatic that he cannot even move. He is just huddled in the corner of his house, shaking. So what do you and I make of that? Pure nightmare fuel. Stick with me, he's groaning from the pain, but there's no time to reflect now. He grabs his phone and desperately calls his agent, and luckily, Junmo picks up fast. Our hero immediately demands to know exactly where clone number 3 went to hunt today. Junmo realizes Sang sounds completely off, but he reveals the location is the Incheon plant. It's the sewage treatment facility. Desperate, Sang tells his agent to bring the other clones. Get number 1 and 2 there immediately. He's rushing over 2 and will explain everything soon. When they meet, he'll explain, but for now, the situation is totally dire. Basically, they've got a massive problem on their hands. Poor clone number 3 is toast. He's utterly destroyed, missing an entire arm with brutal wounds covering his whole body. This isn't just a sea beast. It's a humanoid creature that's much more dangerous. It even wields a sword. Number 3 is at his limit after this violent beating. He finally blackouts, collapsing right in front of that terrifying marine horror standing over him. The freak watches him with a cold, blank face. Suddenly, Sang slams his door. He slammed the door and hailed a taxi to reach the zone as fast as possible. He's drenched in sweat and panting hard, looking like he just finished a full marathon. The facility is massive, packed with those towering, industrial sewage treatment machines. Sang realizes he's completely lost the mental link with clone number 3. And the worst part, he's still got a long cooldown before he can use that skill again. Now watch closely. He flashes his ID to the guards and clears the checkpoint. He clears the blockade quickly. Luckily, his agent is already there waiting for him. They regroup, and Junmo actually managed to bring clones number 1 and 2 along. Sang explains that number 3 is gone, but he caught a glimpse of something monstrous. It wasn't some basic alien fish. This thing had a fish head and humanoid limbs. Junmo's eyes go wide at that description. He looks absolutely terrified by the news. Terrified, he says they must alert the authorities and lock the area down. That's because the creature they're facing is the legendary and dangerous D-rank fishman. Even a full party of E-class hunters wouldn't stand a chance against this nightmare. Sang tells him to alert the guards to keep other hunters out, but not yet. He wants it done only after his clones enter the portal, which totally confuses Junmo. I know what you're thinking, is he crazy? But Sang has a plan. Rubbing his neck, Sang insists they can't just sit here and wait for it to die. He refuses to wait for the creature to die. Smiling, he asks his agent to trust him just like he trusts his own clones, but Junmo is still very worried. Our hero closes his eyes and concentrates, finally activating his familiar signature skill. His power reaches the remaining clones, number 1 and number 2, instantly. They're already deep inside the hunting ground's thick forest, moving with extreme caution. Sang commands them to head straight for the spot where number 3 was last seen. Both clones are locked in and ready for a fight, completely focused on the mission. They use silent hand signals to stay quiet. Then, a sickening sound echoes nearby. The gross sound of teeth ripping through flesh, and bone fills the air. They've found it. The creature is busy devouring some poor, unlucky alien fish. This is a huge win for Sang, who didn't expect to get the jump on it. He's an E-class hunter, but since his clones only get 53% of his power. They're basically F-class at best, but the creature is distracted and not at its peak. Trust me, you and I are about to see if his hunting strategy actually works. Stick with me, you and I are about to see if his hero skills can actually make it happen. The boy commands his clones to target the monster's head, opening fire with everything they have got. Those bullets scream toward the big fish's skull, determined to put this absolute abomination down for good. But the shots just bounce off. Its hide is way too thick for these regular rounds to pierce. The poor clones are standing there, looking completely stunned and out of luck. Sang is just as baffled. He finally realizes that normal bullets are completely useless against this tank. That massive hail of lead did nothing but piss off this terrifying, toothy sea monster. The beast lets out a roar and leaps like a giant flea flying meters into the air. It crashes back down right between two clones who only just barely managed to dodge the impact. One clone uses his dodge to pull off a different move. Watch this slick maneuver. He flips right over the monster's head, slicing his blade across its shoulder with precision speed. He actually manages to draw blood, but Sang is shocked by how shallow the wound is. It is just a tiny scratch, and trust me, this monster is not going to let it slide. It swings at the clone with a heavy attack, but only ends up smashing a tree. The clone was fast enough to escape, just barely. This giant beast is struggling in the woods. Meanwhile, the other clone just keeps shooting from a distance. The monster's massive sword gets lodged deep in a trunk. That was one hell of a swing. But this fish freak just flexes his muscles and shatters the entire tree like it is nothing. Now watch, Sang warns his clones to forget what he said earlier. The monster can clearly handle its sword in this terrain. That trunk hits the ground with authority. This beast is way tougher than our hero imagined, but the clones are not worried. They charge straight in with all their courage, refusing to back down from the challenge. They land a solid strike on the monster's arm, but it does not even flinch. Sang is watching this play out and realizes these basic attacks are not doing anything. The giant beast clenches its jaw, focusing every bit of power into its arm for one hit. That punch connects. It sends one of the clones flying back with devastating force. Our protagonist is starting to panic, wondering how they will ever kill this absolute unit. But then he remembers something. Not every single bullet just bounced off that thick hide. One shot ricocheted, but another actually did some damage, even if it was just a little bit. He gets the idea to aim for that exact same wound and keep blasting away. Using his insane skill, he nails the target perfectly, and the monster definitely feels that one. You saw that, right? Sang's plan is actually starting to work. Now he has a real plan: turn this big fish into a pincushion with bullets. Despite the pain, the beast is still standing and charges forward with another massive punch. Both clones jump to dodge the hit and keep unloading their ammo into the monster. It is starting to look like Swiss cheese, full of tiny holes from the constant gunfire. The creature starts screaming in agony. Finally, these attacks are having a real impact. The big fish grips its sword, and a sudden flame erupts across the entire blade. Its eyes turn red with pure hatred. It is beyond pissed off now. It is totally enraged and prepares a flaming sword strike directly at the nearest clone. The clone manages to block the massive sword strike using just his arm. But that hit was insanely powerful. He felt every bit of that fiery impact. The beast just got way stronger, swinging its sword wildly from side to side. You and I can see it is just swatting at the clones like flies. Sang wonders if the sword is the reason it is stronger. Is it reacting to its body? All right, you and I are jumping right into the climax of this brutal boss fight. The fearless clone strikes first, carving a deep gash into the beast's massive chest. But this fish monster isn't quitting, charging back with every bit of its strength. It connects with a savage sword strike, burying the jagged blade directly into the poor clone's stomach. Sang is absolutely floored as that same agonizing pain ripples through his own body. Refusing to let go, the clone grips the hand that just impaled him, holding tight. With a voice shaking from the trauma, Sang knows this path is pure misery. He admits this is going south fast, but it's the only way to win. The clone draws a dagger, pouring every last ounce of his willpower into it. Screaming at the top of his lungs, he lunges forward for one final desperate strike. He stabs the monster's chest repeatedly, shredding 3 different spots at point-blank range. The beast isn't just taking it, though, and swings its massive claws for revenge. But the clone is locked in, reaching peak determination as he blocks the attack. Fueled by a burning flame of resolve, he refuses to stop his relentless assault. The giant fish loses its edge, desperately looking for any way to escape this kid. Using its massive foot, the monster prepares to launch its next desperate, heavy move. It lands a square kick to the chest, finally forcing the clone off its body. Wounded and gasping, the boy clutches his bleeding stomach, barely hanging onto consciousness. He tries to endure, but the monster charges again with its terrifying flaming sword. Suddenly, the other clone throws himself right in front of the attack. It's a heroic display of teamwork, shielding his partner from the deadly strike. Before the fish can finish them, he lunges at the villain with a razor-sharp dagger. Now, stay with me. This next move is absolutely do or die for them. Blow after blow is about to be traded in this cramped, bloody space. The clones pull off an agile, clever maneuver, striking the monster at the same time. That twin impact was enough to make the monstrous amphibian feel their combined power. Its massive body is now torn apart, riddled with more holes than Swiss cheese. All that vigor is gone. The enemy is finally running on empty. It drops to its knees with a heavy thud that shakes the entire floor. Finally, it collapses face first, completely defeated on this chaotic field of battle. The clones are battered and broken, but they've secured a hard-won victory. Exhaustion sets in, and one of them just gives up and hits the ground. He checks his weapon, completely empty. The bullets are all gone now. The hunt is over, and Sang feels like his soul is leaving his body. Wait, look at this. You and I saw it fall, right? Fresh footprints have formed in the red liquid, splattered all over the damp ground. The clone's eyes go wide, looking like he's just seen a literal ghost. That abomination isn't dead. Sang orders number 2 to track those bloody prints. He realizes the tracks are heading straight toward the entrance of the portal. Outside the hunting ground, a guard warns a hunter that a monster has appeared. The man complains about wasting time, but the guard says entry is now forbidden. It's impossible for them to go in now, while the area is in lockdown. Juno watches the chaos unfold, praying that Sang can hurry up and finish. Suddenly, a strange noise echoes from nearby, putting everyone on high alert. Trust me, you're going to want to see how this escape plays out. Stick with me, we are watching Sang's monster reach the portal. It is pure fury, and has absolutely zero patience for any small talk. It prepares an attack aimed at the guards while they try to shoot it. The guards try stopping it from getting closer, but their bullets are useless. The creature transforms its blade, as that massive fish man finally reaches the gate. The guards are no match for this beast, as it easily tears through them. Still inside the gate, clone number 2 is determined to hunt this monster down. He readies the weapon in his hand, preparing to launch it with everything. He hurls it with insane force. Now pay attention to what happens next. Suddenly Sang emerges from the portal, holding a knife, lunging straight at the beast. Using every ounce of his remaining strength, he manages to land a direct hit. He plunges that blade deep into the monster's head, right next to its eye. The creature screams in agony, leaving every soldier standing nearby completely paralyzed with shock. Sang funnels every bit of his physical power into his arms to finish this. Using both hands, he drives that knife even deeper into the monster's massive skull. The soldiers look like they've seen a ghost, their mouths hanging wide open. Our main character finally brings the huge beast down as it collapses back. Exhausted but thrilled, clone number 2 gives a thumbs up through his tears. A man with a goatee is on the phone, confirming he has arrived. Wearing a bulletproof vest, he says he will send a report after investigating. He approaches the crowd and sees something very unusual. That D-rank monster is unconscious on the ground, its body covered in wounds. The man who just arrived recognizes this creature as the infamous Fishman. The soldier asks if he is from the association, and we know it is serious. He confirms his identity and asks for an immediate explanation of what happened here. Still shaken, the soldier explains that a hunter inside the portal took it down. The man asks if there was a D-rank hunter present, clearly confused. The soldier simply says it was a single hunter who managed to defeat it. Frowning, the man asks what happened as they investigate the scene further. They report that an F-rank hunter and his clones were the killers. The man's face is calm, but he is shocked an F-rank succeeded. He notes every attack was focused on a single wound to maximize damage. He did it without any special weapons, which is almost impossible to believe. While Sang talks with his agent, the mysterious man is still lost in thought. He wonders how anyone could hit a moving monster with such insane precision. He glares at our main character and his agent with a cold look. He decides to check the portal for any other D-rank monsters left inside. The fish monster's corpse is still there, its huge eyes staring wide open. Approaching the gate, the man wonders how he will explain this to everyone. Meanwhile, Sang is busy checking out the brand new skills he just unlocked. One is Dash, which boosts his movement speed by a massive amount right now. Another is Projectile, increasing his power when using a pistol in a fight. He unlocked Regeneration and the Strike skill, focusing all strength into one blow. His strength, dexterity, and endurance stats have all taken a huge jump up. Trust me, you and I just watched a legend finally begin. All right, stick with me, because our main character is officially loaded with new skills. He is wondering if his two clones managed to survive, thanks to their regeneration ability. They are pretty beat up, but letting them heal naturally will boost his stats. Junmo starts praising him for taking down a D-rank monster, making him feel awkward. The agent even thinks the kid could handle E-rank hunt solo now without any problems. While they chat, he remembers that weird short sword the monster was using and heads over. He noticed the blade was drinking up red liquid right from the monster's own body. Watch closely, because the beast went totally berserk once that sword absorbed the red fluid. Sang goes to grab the weapon, noting how much stronger the creature became with red eyes. But before he can touch it, Junmo stops him. Don't touch that thing just yet. It is much safer to let a clone handle it, since the blade might be cursed. A bit worried, Sang asks if cursed gear is basically useless to him. The agent explains that these items can actually be worth a huge amount of money. Depending on their effects, the price skyrockets, which gets our boy feeling super excited. He agrees to send a clone back for it later, while the collection team arrives. They will handle the massive body, but he also has another item from the head. He pulls a strange object from his pocket to see if it is worth anything. He shows it to Junmo, and the agent's jaw drops from sheer amazement. It is a large red stone the size of his hand, but it is low level. In other words, it is basically worthless trash. Junmo hates to burst the kid's bubble. He explains it is just a cheap stat-boosting item that humans can't even safely use. You and I can imagine his disappointment when he hears about those nasty side effects. Sang is crushed. There goes his dream of a massive payday and easy cash. But the agent reassures him the other loot will still sell for a high price. So he tells him not to feel too bad and asks him to handle everything. After thanking him, it is finally time to head back to his place for rest. He opens the door to his house and finds his clones leaning on each other. They are barely walking, exhausted after that insane battle they just went through. He decides to summon clone number 3 and tells the other 2 to sleep. Sang concentrates to activate his special skill and bring out yet another clone. Just like that, a brand new version of himself appears right in front of him. He hands over his gear and tells the fresh clone to go start training. He finally changes his clothes, since they were absolutely covered in disgusting monster filth. Then he sits on the floor to inspect the items he actually kept himself. He picks up that red stone and starts doing some quick research on his phone. It is a strength gem, and exactly as predicted, it is completely unusable for humans. If a summoned being uses it, they turn into a monster. That is a problem. Even if it bumps strength by 0.005, the risk is high. He knows clone injuries don't usually affect him, but this feels way more permanent. There is still a small chance that the one turning into a beast might be him. He starts picturing a nightmare scenario of what could happen if he uses it. In his head, he has an alligator face and is desperately screaming for his agent. Junmo gets so terrified that he just shoots him straight in the head. Total chaos. He puts the stone down, deciding it is not worth the risk now. Trust me, you're going to want to see if a clone touches that sword like instructed. Stick with me, Sang got a mystery box, and he's praying this thing isn't cursed. He wants one test run before selling it, so he orders his strongest clone, number 2. The clone in peak condition steps up to grab the blade, following his master's direct command. He approaches the chest, reaches out his hand, and prepares to lift the heavy hilt. He lifts the sword high as Sang watches closely, waiting for the clone to explode. No explosions or weird transformations happen yet, but the clone says he's hearing a strange voice. Sang wonders if the blade is sentient. To hear exactly what the clone hears, he activates his familiar skill to bridge their minds. It is a hideous voice, like a machine gun rattling off commands, demanding death and red liquid. The noise was so violent, it forced the skill to deactivate immediately. Sang's ears are ringing from the shock. Even with that racket, the voice remains completely unaffected. Sang wonders if his own mind would break holding it. Watch closely now, he decides to use it, and suddenly a status window pops up. His regeneration stat just got a massive boost. Looking at his exhausted clones, he realizes this is helping his skill grow, but there is a big problem.